Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Norwich Talk, where we shall be having a little bit of a chat and sort of dissecting Norwich City's top three award winners for the Player of the Season award winners. I think that's what we'll call them. But I'm very happy with it. I'm sure you are as well. There are many cases to be made for maybe other players to be in there as well, but nonetheless, this has been a team effort this season. However, we shall be talking about these three individuals. Now, before we actually get into that part of the video, I would just like to say a massive well done to Jack Reeve and Chris Reeve at Tottenham City. Recently raised nearly, I think it was £24,000 for the Big C. Now, the Big C is a charity that I've worked with before personally, with my company and stuff, and they're a really well-run charity, really good stuff. They do really, really good stuff, and I know how much it means to a lot of people. So the fact that they're using their platform for such good is really, really positive, and £24,000 is absolutely ridiculous. And the challenge they did was they stayed up. I'm sure you're aware already if you're watching this video, but they stayed up for 24 hours, got various guests on. It was really entertaining to watch, got some really good insight. I think they've done incredibly well to talk about Norwich for that long. Although it's been made easier by the fact that this season Norwich City have been amazing. But to Chris and Jack, well done guys, really, really impressive stuff. Those two guys have been going at it for quite some time in sort of the Norwich City sphere, haven't they? They're obviously the number one Norwich City YouTube channel, Norwich City fan channel, sorry. And they've paved the way for smaller channels like ours, of course. And sort of the Norwich City fan media scene is quite saturated at the moment. And for me, that's a positive thing. It's always nice when things are going well for the club and the fans want to get involved. And hopefully, I think I speak for all of us who make videos, hopefully we're providing you with a little bit of entertainment and helping you feel a little bit more normal in these weird times. Although I say weird times, we're sort of approaching normality again, aren't we? But yeah, first of all, massive well done to Talk Norwich City. If you're subscribed to this channel, I'm sure you're subscribed to their channel as well. Really good stuff from them. That gets one of these. Oh dear, that's shocking, isn't it? A little Daniel Farker nod of approval. I saw him sat here and I wanted to get him involved, but there he is. Little Daniel Farker, little double thumbs up from him, little bobblehead. Let me know in the comments as well if you have one of these. I remember when these came out. I don't actually know what season it was. I think it might have been the end of the last championship campaign, and these were like 20 quid, and I thought I'd get my dad one. But yeah, they're class. Yeah, there you go. A little double thumbs up from Daniel Farker. But we are here to talk about Norwich City's top three players of the season. In third, Ollie Skipp. Second, Grant Hanley. And in first, Mr. Emiliano Buendia. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Emi Buendia. We'll start in third with Ollie Skipp. Oliver Skipp, what is there to say about him other than he has been absolutely fantastic? He is exactly what Norwich needed in the last season, sorry, when they're in the Premier League. We always spoke about sort of that gap between full-backs and the centre-backs, which was getting exploited time and time again. We spoke about the need for a very mobile sort of central midfielder to do it at both ends of the pitch, and Ollie Skipp's come in this season and he's done that, and he's been so good, and he's so young with such little experience to his name, and he's playing like a guy who's played football for what, 5-10 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've got here in front of me on my notes, it's a credit to Norwich's development system. Now, one thing I think we've really seen sort of flourish recently in Ollie Skipp's game is his ability to get on the ball and sort of carry it. We always knew he was a decent little passer, great tackler, was a great tackler from day one, but across the season you see his confidence going up the pitch, sort of reach new sort of heights, and it's a really positive thing for Tottenham as well, I suppose, because when you're Tottenham, you send a player like Ollie Skipp out, a player who Jose Mourinho, obviously now the former Spurs manager, described as a future Tottenham captain. Future Tottenham captain. So obviously they think very highly of him there, and they'll be absolutely delighted with how this loan has gone. And it's not surprising, is it? Daniel Farker has a reputation for developing these young players. You look at likes of Ben Godfrey, who's currently having a really successful career at Everton, really sort of enjoying watching him flourish. Jamal Lewis, who's perhaps stuttered a little bit, but that said, he's a product of Daniel Farker's brilliance. Players still at the club, like Max Aarons, Todd Cantwell, of course, and you got James Maddison. Don't know how I could forget about James Maddison, who also was sort of nurtured under Daniel Farker, made into a £30 million player. And again, it's unsurprising that Daniel Farker has made Ollie Skipp this good. And I think the most interesting thing for me is that Ollie Skipp, if we'd have had this player exactly in the 1920 season, who knows if we'd have stayed up. That's something we won't get indulged in, but it's a question I'll put to you in the comments. I've got here in front of me as well that it shows evidence that Norwich City have actually learned from these lessons that the Premier League taught them last time. And I mean that in terms of recruitment. The recruitment in the Premier League last time was not very good at all, was it? Whereas you look at a player like Oliver Skipp, and I said this a lot in pre-season after we signed him. I think I said there was still sort of speculation. The speculation process was very quick with Oliver Skipp. I remember it was an article one day, signed the next day. But I remember saying that Norwich City need to learn these lessons from recruitment about Ollie Skipp, and that they evident not about Ollie Skipp, but about that position, and they did, and it's a credit to everyone at Norwich City, really. The last thing I'll say about Ollie Skipp is should we get him back? From a Norwich City perspective, absolutely. He has been superb. If he was to come back, he'd play week in, week out. It's a very interesting situation at Tottenham, isn't it? Because I remember the last time I spoke about this, I think it was on a podcast with Sam and Alf, and we spoke about if someone like Nagelsmann was to go to Tottenham, I think Skipp would be looked at more intensely and sort of be given more of a chance because he likes his younger players. But no, he's gone to Bayern Munich, and the only link that I've seen from Tottenham to another manager is Gareth Southgate, which I believe was from on Twitter, THFC related. I don't know how credible they are as a source, but I saw they had a lot of followers, so they're obviously willing to sort of give it to hundreds of thousands of fans, I think, anyway. But yeah, they're saying Gareth Southgate maybe. I don't know. I don't particularly care, but I do think it will influence whether Ollie Skipp stays next season. I'll repeat the point of if a very experienced manager comes in who wants to win instant trophies, I think Ollie Skipp is less likely to be given a chance in the first team. I think money would perhaps be spent on a bigger signing, or they'd look to sort of utilise Højbjerg, Ndombele, maybe Harry Winks, Lo Celso, definitely more, because they've got some quality there, haven't they? For as much as Spurs are definitely lacking quality in the middle of the park, they've got some decent players. So I don't know if Skippy would be given a chance. But here, he'd play week in, week out, and I'll apply the same logic that Daniel Farke did to Max Aarons. He'd be playing loads of Premier League football under a manager who loves him. I don't know why I'm doing numbers on my hands. He'd be playing loads of football in the Premier League under a manager who already loves him. He wouldn't really have that much of a point to prove to Norwich fans. But yeah, I'll highlight the importance of regular football under a manager, this man who already loves him and knows how good he is. So yeah, Ollie Skipp, brilliant, absolutely love him. Gutted that I've not been able to see him in a yellow shirt in the flesh. Genuinely heartbroken about that. But that said, absolutely love the guy. I'm sure he'll always remember Norwich as well. You always remember your first football club, don't you, as a young player? Well, the first sort of first team experience, I'll say, really, rather than football club, because he is a Tottenham player, isn't he? But in second place, Grant Hanley. Grant Hanley, what an absolute beast this man has been this season, and I'm really delighted. And my first note here in front of me, he's always had this quality. We know that he's always been this good. It's just that he struggled to keep fit, and it's sort of haunted his Norwich City career for sure. I don't know about his career beyond Norwich, I'm not really sure, but it's definitely haunted his Norwich City career, and it's always been such a shame. I remember when he first signed for Norwich, I think he still is Norwich's most expensive signing under Stuart Webber. I remember when he first joined, he was a breath of fresh air. He was so physical, and he's deceivingly quick, no matter what Don Goodman tries to tell you on Sky Sports. Grant Hanley, I believe, is quite quick, and it's kind of weird. He just sort of scoots along the ground. I'm not sure if that's offensive or not, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? Very unorthodox, I should probably say, instead of weird. That's a less offensive term. But he has been brilliant since he signed. It's just we've only seen it in flashes, and I do believe I really should have googled this, so forgive me. This is a fan channel, remember? But I think he was in the top 3 for the Player of the Season in Daniel Farke's first season. So yeah, again, that sort of backs up my point. He's always had the quality. But I think the thing that I find most bizarre about Grant Hanley is the fact, and you see me smiling down at my notes here, this is kind of funny to me, is that for as much as I said his quality is excellent, he's not very gifted technically, and I'm sure we can all agree with that. There are the odd times where I think he does just put his foot out, unaware of where the ball is going to go. Not that that's a bad thing at all, but it is quite funny sometimes. Other times it's fairly scary. You look at QPR, sometimes he's a little bit clumsy, but what footballer isn't at times? But yeah, he's not particularly gifted technically. He can't find that many sort of exquisite passes, unlike a player like Ben Godfrey, for example. I don't think his passing stats are as good as someone like Ben Gibson, for example. And I know that Daniel Farke loves players who knows his system, so I think that only means Grant Hanley's defensive ability more than makes up for the fact that well, I'm not going to say he doesn't suit Daniel Farke's passing style, but it makes up for the fact that his passing isn't the best. And again, it's credit to the fact that he is an absolute colossus in defence, and he obviously cares about the club, and that's really important for me. He's club captain. I just love to see passion, and you see that on a regular basis from him. Andrew Omobamidele on this channel said that he's been really good for his development so far, and what I really like about what Andrew said was that it sort of he brought him down to earth. He spoke to him very normally, didn't patronise him at all, and he made that very clear to us that Hanley has just been so down to earth for him, and I think that's really important for a player's development. Sometimes perhaps maybe you can overdo it in terms of maybe being a bit patronising. Maybe that's reaching a bit. I think you know what I mean. But it's nice to see that he's sort of nurturing the talent that is Omobamidele, because 18 years old was always going to be a tough task for him to come into a team who should be winning the league from the position they were in when he started playing. Obviously, he had to fill the boots of Ben Gibson, who we haven't really missed the absence of. So, it's been a joint effort from them two to just be absolutely brilliant. And I absolutely love Grant Hanley. And I've got here in front of me, again, a formidable relationship has been formed with Ben Gibson. Now, I'll mention last season again, Norwich defensively were a mess, weren't they? You look at Ben Godfrey and, well, whoever was next to him at the time. He played with Teti, played with Amadou, played with Zimmerman, played with Hanley. I don't know if he played with anyone else. I don't think he did. But that's four players. It was very unstable, wasn't it? And Ben Godfrey at times was caught out with the ball. That has not been the case this season for Hanley and Gibson. They've been absolutely sublime, and they formed sort of a really good defensive sort of ground for Norwich, haven't they? And we've always said that these Norwich City teams, under Daniel Farke especially, couldn't really defend. It was always a case of score more goals than you concede, and this is why I genuinely believe Norwich stand more of a chance than what they did last time they were in the Premier League. I mean, realistically, Touchwood, they can't do worse, can they? But you look at the defensive foundations that Ben Gibson and Grant Hanley are at the heart of. We should be much better defensively. And again, Grant Hanley, love the bloke, absolutely brilliant. Now, speaking of love, in first place, winning the Barry Butler Player of the Season award, I believe that's right, is Emiliano Buendia. Need I say more? I'm going to get Daniel out again. Double thumbs up. And there you go, a little nod of the head as well of approval for Emi Buendia. Goodness me, I love him. It's ridiculous. It frightens me how much I love him. I'm sure you do as well. He has absolutely been the best player I've ever seen play for Norwich City. Now, I made a key point of this on a podcast. Can't remember what podcast it was, but I remember saying I don't know if he'll be my favourite because, Wes Hoolahan will always have my heart in that regard. But Buendia, absolutely, by far and away, is the best. He came into the team, I remember his first game was against Brentford, his first start was against Brentford, in the 18-19 season, scored an absolutely brilliant goal, set himself up for a successful career, and so far, he's had one at Norwich City. Long may it continue as well. I do think he'll be here next season. That's a video for another day. But yeah, he's been so good. And I did mention this on a podcast with Sam and Alf. I remember saying I was so scared when we first signed him. Now, maybe not so scared, but I was kind of worried that he would just be Sergi Canos .2. Has he been that? No, he hasn't. He has been everything that I dreamed Sergi Canos would be when he signed for Norwich City. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? In his first season at Norwich, he was defensively really good, and as well for Max Aaron's development, I think he's been really important. I think you can apply that to this season as well. I do genuinely believe that without Emi Buendia in front of Max Aaron, he might not have had such a not an easy time, but a successful career so far. Obviously, Max Aaron's is only 20, so he's got a lot more developing to do. But having a player like Emi Buendia in front of you who will chuck in challenges, not sensibly sometimes, get himself booked. That's the only sort of maybe criticism I'll say of Emi Buendia at times, but not bothered about that at all today. But having a player of Buendia's commitment and quality in front of him absolutely has helped his development. The only note I have here in front of me about Emi Buendia is go on a rant, which is such an easy thing to do. And you look at last season, he didn't score. Well, sorry, he did score. He scored one goal, and that was after lockdown. This season, evidently, he's put the work in and he's perfected his game, hasn't he? I think he's in double figures for both goals and assists, which is ridiculous. Now, this is a Norwich City team that before, a couple of months ago, hadn't scored that many goals, but since he's sort of found his shooting boots recently, well, I think his contribution to the goals this season must be, 30-odd%, something like that. I really should have researched this before, but He's just so good, isn't he? And obviously he was interested. There was interest shown by Arsenal. Not sure how genuine that was, but at the time it was believable, wasn't it? Because he was good enough. He is good enough to play for a team like Arsenal, one of the big teams in England apparently. But yeah, it's unsurprising that he was linked with them because he is good enough to be playing for that sort of team. But as I said earlier, long may his Norwich City career continue. And where does he go now? How does he improve now? I think it's just a case of sort of pumping those numbers up higher, which will be no easy task for him. But there's absolutely no reason why he shouldn't be able to do it. Emi Buendia is a player that I just love to watch, and I think the neutrals love to watch him as well. You look at every time Norwich are on Sky, sort of replies from other fans to sort of Sky Sports tweets. They're always raving about Emi Buendia, and there'll be a lot of interest in him in the summer, I do believe. I think he is a bit of a gamble for other teams in terms of his ability to get sent off from time to time. 2 red cards this season, both double bookings as well. I think he had 2 in the Premier League campaign, or maybe one in the Premier League campaign against Burnley. I remember when he got sent off against Burnley, my heart sank because I thought, oh no, that's the last time we're going to see him for Norwich. No, there was a little bit of controversy at the beginning of the season. Let's acknowledge that, but move on from it. But since then, he's obviously put his head down and got on with it, and he's been bloody marvellous, and he absolutely, far and away for me, deserves the Player of the Season award. I'm so sort of proud and happy for him, and I do think he'll stay next season, and I think he'll absolutely rip it up. And now he's added loads more goals to his game. I'll definitely sort of use that, as well as Hanley's and Norwich's defence, as a reason to believe that we should potentially set up, or we'll definitely put up a better fight. But that said, we can't do worse, can we? But Emi Buendia, Player of the Season, absolutely brilliant. I voted for him. I'm sure, well, obviously a lot of other people did as well. But yeah, if you didn't vote for Buendia, by the way, let me know who you voted for in the comments down below. I know that Peter, I mentioned this, I don't know what video it was actually. I think it might have been the Aya video, the Aya transfer video. Peter from America on Connor's Pink and Pod Terrace Talk, he said he voted for Grant Hanley. So I'm interested to know who you voted for. I know a lot of people have put up cases or put forward cases for Oliver Skipp being the Player of the Season. Glad to see him break into the top 3. But yeah, let me know who you voted for. I'm very, very interested. If it's Buendia as well, let me know. Sure. I'll let Daniel say goodbye. I need to stop getting Daniel out now. I should put him away to the side. But yeah, final thing I'll say, well done TNC on the 24k raise for charity. Absolutely brilliant stuff. We'll be kicking off the review nice and soon. I'm looking forward to doing that. I really am. We've got some good guests lined up for you as well. Hopefully a couple of new faces to be coming on the channel as well. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. If you enjoy these videos, perhaps consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it if you did. If you don't want to, that's totally fair enough. I can't really put too much of an attempt into persuading you, because if you don't want to, you don't want to, do you? We're approaching that 1.2k mark, which I'm really grateful for. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon.